This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Bill, the football season is officially over at the end of the Super Bowl now, and spring ball's approaching. The baseball season is fast upon us now. I read where Tim Corbin spoke about Vanderbilt maybe piggybacking pitchers instead of going with a usual three-man starting rotation this upcoming weekend. Does Vandy have to worry about pitching right now?
Well, other than the true freshman that they got out of Georgia, who's a fantastic lefty, I think it's a question mark. Now they've got some young arms that they like, and the McIlvain kid they started last year played at the high school where my kids went, and you know, he throws 93, 94, but he's not a Friday night guy at all. And so they've taken a step back. Now, that lefty kid is fantastic. I'd play him against anybody. But, yeah, that could be an issue. And remember, they didn't hit the ball well last year either. Enrique Bradford, their leadoff guy, is wonderful. You could say he might be the best leadoff hitter in college ball, but they didn't hit the ball up and down that roster very well last year either.
You know, I was wondering about this because, you know, college baseball isn't doing the rules changes that Major League Baseball is just yet. But can you imagine Bradfield in college baseball only allowed 2 pickoffs from the pitcher? Like the kid would steal 150 bases in 150 tries. You might as well just put him on second base if he gets a walk.
Yeah, that kid he's as good a base stealer. And I will admit, I don't have a long college baseball history like college football, but he's just the best base stealer that I've seen in college ball.
Well, we've certainly had some interesting things happen even in the last 24 hours in college football. Georgia loses offensive coordinator Todd Monken to the Baltimore Ravens, and then bring Mike Bobo back on for a second go around. What'd you think of this?
Well, everybody knew that's what they were going to do. That was in place and had always been agreed upon. So from that standpoint, it's not surprising. He'd been there before. I remember, covering his games when he was quarterback there in the mid-'90s. I remember a very interesting Georgia-Tennessee game in Knoxville between him and Peyton Manning, and Georgia probably should have won that game. They didn't. Peyton Manning led Tennessee to a win late, but he's been a pretty solid coordinator. And I know his Colorado State years were not the best as a head coach, and he was at Auburn and South Carolina. That didn't go so well. But look, first of all, the entire blueprint is Kirby Smart's. And no, maybe he doesn't have the X's and O's depth that Modkin had. But look, he's working with Georgia talent. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Bill, always love having you on the show. A guy that I like is Coach Kevin Sumlin. I've been a big fan of his for years, and I know he's at Arizona, and it's kind of been out of the – I don't know what he's been doing the last couple of years, but I think it's a good fit for him at Maryland. Do you think this is a deal, Bill, where he's going to go to Maryland, be an OC, and maybe that's what he's going to be the next 20 years of his career, or do you think he's trying to get back into being a head coach somewhere? And how does he fit Maryland?
He's made so much money, whether it's on the job or getting paid when they fired him at A&M, owed him a fortune, obviously. So
he's doing it because he likes
money.
it, is what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of coaches are like that. They coach. So I don't think it's okay, I need to be a head coach because I need to get $6-7 million again. I mean, he's got probably unlimited money as it is. But I think he could settle in as a coordinator. I mean, look, he's getting on up there. He's not old, but he's getting on up there. This game is a mental torture chamber for a head coach. All the stuff you're dealing with, and it's never going to get better. At least that you have to plan on it not getting better. And I think the comfort level of making probably low 7 figures, being the coordinator and not having all those headaches come to your desk can be appealing.
That's a good point because it makes it simple, man. He gets to watch ball, coach ball, and that's what he's doing. He's not doing all the hoopla. Yeah,
you don't have to do the media. You don't have to do the media talk, the press conferences, the coaches show.
It's more personal with the players.
Think about it. If Johnny Five Star's pouting because of NIL, and it's not enough. That's not his problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested. That's interesting. But then again, I mean, sometimes the dumbest person in the world is an offensive coordinator after a poor game on a Saturday, but the next week he's the smartest person in the world. It's like, so, you know, and they're the first to get fired too. Although I guess in how long has Loxley been at Maryland?
He's been there, about 5 years, approximately. Yeah, he left Alabama, and tell you what, that's it. That place is a gold mine. If anybody, I think we've discussed this, but if anybody ever just said, I'm going to totally own that stretch of real estate, that eastern seaboard, the Carolinas, up through Virginia, further east in the D.C. area, you could go play anybody, anytime, and win. And say, George, I'm looking you right in the eye. I'm as good as you are. You could do that. But nobody's been able to lasso that whole area.
It's interesting to look at that area, too, because you've got, like, Virginia Tech, Virginia, and Maryland. Virginia Tech and Virginia are in the same league. Maryland, of course, is in the Big Ten. I guess I'd never thought necessarily about that area, but then you and I just talked about Allen Iverson, who was from
that area.
In that exact area. And
a lot of talent.
Virginia Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you guys, any player, any size, any ability level, any position is all through there. In plentiful, in abundance. And remember, I mean, Virginia Tech went on a long run where they were a national threat, right? I mean, they were a top 10 threat, if not better.
That defense had athletes everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, no question. And obviously they've lost that touch. And a lot of that would be the recruiting from that region, up and down through there. Somebody, I don't know, but if somebody ever has the ability to be the top sales guy through that area, I'm telling you, you got a roster as good as any big boy on the block. You can go fight any bully on the beach.
I don't know if we've spoken to you since the announcement about Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC. Was that a week ago that happened, or was that more like a few days? Will Sark and Venables be the head coaches of those teams once they make it to the SEC? It's just another 2 seasons, or another 1 season.
Yeah, 1 season. I would say, yeah, if you said, Bill, you have to bet on it. I would say, yeah, it would take a total implosion. And let's face it, Venables year 1 wasn't very good. Sark's been kind of, I think, what do we say? I give him about a C minus, his tenure there. But I think it would have to be an implosion. It would have to be, okay, it's collapsed, and we know we're going to have to fire him. Why wait? You'd have to be to that moment for them not to get to year 1 in 24.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about what are they going to do? Is it going to be divisions? Or are they going to make it like the Big Ten where you might only have 3 permanent opponents? What are your thoughts on how they're going to divide the SEC up? Is it going to be East and West, or is it just going to be SEC?
No, divisions will die. Now, they haven't formally stood up at a press conference, but yes, divisions will die. They'll have some kind of pod system. Each team will have 3 permanent opponents and then rotation throughout the league after that. And so Arkansas, their 3 could be just, and again, this is just speculation, LSU.
Missouri, Oklahoma, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. You don't want 3, and of course in the future you never know, but you don't want 3 killers, right? You want, maybe 2 and 1 or 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the speculation here is Tennessee, Alabama, because you don't want to separate them. And then Tennessee gets South Carolina and Kentucky or Vandy. Well, you'll do that. I'll take that.
It's going to be interesting to see how that all works out. I'm not a fan of the 3 permanent and rotate. I'd much rather have 7 permanent, and I definitely like the divisions a little bit, but it'll work out. And I think that when you're having 12 playoff teams, it gives you a chance to get more teams into the playoffs when you do it this way.
Okay, think about this. Since there will be no divisions, that means the 2 teams with the best winning percentage will play in the SEC championship game, which means you could have a year with the SEC where 2 teams play 3 times.
Yeah, I think that just opens it up where there's going to be 3 teams in the SEC. I mean, make the final 12 because you're going to have those 2 that play are definitely in. It's just for seeding. And then whoever was third place is probably going to be in there. That would have been, what, Tennessee this year?
Oh, man, this is going to be an annual thing, 3 SEC teams in these final 12. I mean, just put it in pen.
There's going to be 3 SEC teams, yeah.
Right, but what are we going to – I mean, we don't have a choice, but when they match up 3 times, I mean, you can't – there'll be times when you cannot avoid that.
I guess that's never happened, right? Yeah, I mean, you felt. I mean, you could have had Alabama and Georgia, against each other in the regular season with the year that they played in the SEC championship game in the finals. But I mean, it's never happened before. You're right. I mean, that makes it like the NFL in some ways, which I know is one thing that you're looking to avoid. Speaking of the NFL, what did you think of the Super Bowl and the performances by the 2 quarterbacks? I mean, Mahomes is amazing, but I feel like Jalen Hurts almost won with a loss because of how well he played outside of the fumble. But, man, I mean, I think he won himself a lot of fans.
You guys know I'm a college guy. I'm not a big NFL guy. I don't watch it. I love it. I thought it was a fantastic game. Now, here's what I did. There's a catch. I bet it to stay engaged in it. So I took the over, which was easy, and I took the +1.5 for Kansas City. And I also had another bet. Somebody in the game would catch a ball from 55 yards or longer, which did not happen. But so I stayed engaged, guys, and it was fun. It didn't have me riveted like I love the college game, but and Mahomes and just his crazy arm slots and his athletic ability and probably still a bum ankle. Jalen Hurts, like we talked about, guys, at some points at Alabama, I didn't know if he could throw the football. Man, look at it. I mean, it's an amazing story.
Yeah, I was impressed with A.J. Brown, and maybe that's just the receiver in me, but I mean, are the quarter. But that dude was a man. You're speechless watching him play wide receiver.
Well, him and Smitty, I thought
great
between
duo.
him and Devontae Smith, I would get a 55-yard reception.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought so.
Hey, Bill, before we let you go, Arch Manning was the talk of the last recruiting cycle. Who is the big talk of the recruiting cycle that we're in right now for the next signing period?
You want to know who it is?
Yeah, who's top of the list?
Okay, yeah. If you guys remember, offensive lineman Dominic Raiola played at Nebraska many years as a dominant offensive line. His son is Dylan Raiola, who is the number 1 ranked player in the class of 24 at any position, and he's a quarterback. He was committed to Ohio State about a month or 2 ago, decommitted, and it looks like Georgia's going to get him, adding to that quarterback room. He's very close with some Georgia folks, and right now Georgia is the overwhelming clubhouse favorite to stockpile further that quarterback room, which, by the way, this spring's going to have to, or this fall is going to have to get thinned out because you've got 3 Johnny 4 and 5 stars in there already. If you bring him in next year, it'll thin out. That'll be a lot of stories for us to talk about.
Hey, we've seen that happen before at Georgia too. We have seen that. We have seen this movie before.
BetOnline remains your number 1 source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts.